everybody. Raul here for Bass Musician Magazine, and today we have the great honor and pleasure of chatting with St. Louis's own bassist, producer, arranger, composer, musical director, Jahmal Nichols.
Hey, everybody. How are you guys doing?
Starting from the beginning, Jahmal, I know that we want to know more about you and your journey in the world of bass. How did you get started in music and on bass particularly?
Oh, man, I started off really late. I started off when I was 14, when I entered high school. The name of the school is Central Visual and Performing Arts High School. So it was a performing arts high school at the time. This was between the years of 94 and 98. So got started, just wanted to learn how to play guitar first, but there were no more guitars, so there was bass. I was like, okay, cool, I'll play bass. Since my dad is a bassist also, I wanted to play guitar just to maybe compliment him. But started playing bass. Unfortunately, the bass player for the jazz band had dropped out of school at that time. And my teacher needed somebody to fill in that place. So it was myself and my good friend of mine, I call my brother now, Corey James. He threw us in the jazz band right away, like after maybe a month or two of playing. And so I was like, okay, we don't know how this is going to work, but, and then went on from there, and I would sit and watch my dad play a lot. He was an essential key of my bass playing, because I didn't know any other bass players at the time besides my friend and my dad. And my dad, he plays by ear, but you could never tell it by the way he plays. He's so solid with it. And he sings at the same time.
Wow.
And so it's like, okay, cool. And I was just watch. I was sitting just watching. He knows it because I tell him now. But I was like, dude, you taught me more than what you think you taught me. Just for me watching him and developing sound, tone, and just ideas, just watching my dad.
Gotcha. Now, from there, did you pursue further studies? Because, again, you went to that high school?
Yes. My guitar teacher, since we didn't have a bass teacher at the time, so he taught us bass basically through a theoretical standpoint. So it was like, okay, just reading books, and they're telling us to alternate fingers on our right hand and make sure you use all four fingers on your left hand. It's like, okay. But he taught us a lot of theory. And so then I went on, Mr. Thomas Moore is his name. And he instilled a lot of theory that a lot of students at that time didn't know about, like part writing and everything else like that. So that helped me personally navigate through music and get an understanding of jazz concept through theory, not just feeling. Feeling is always going to be there, but I started doing the book side of it, then incorporated the feeling side of it. And then I went to college in North Carolina, 2 schools. I went to St. Augustine's College in Raleigh, North Carolina. Then I transferred over to North Carolina Central in Durham, North Carolina.
From there, I know that you're one of I consider unique individuals that is well versed both on upright and electric.
Thank you. Yes, that was one of my goals. I wanted to play both instruments very well in any capacity, whether it be R&B, funk, gospel, jazz, blues, or soul music, anything. So I wanted to be able to go from one to the other effortlessly and not have a choking moment in either one, and even throwing Latin in there, because I remember had to be 20 years ago where I was introduced to like playing in a Latin band for the first time, and I came in looking for the drummer. I was like, "Who's the drummer?" They're like, "We are the drummer."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, okay." And that opened up my head to so much more. But yeah, I love both instruments equally. And when people always ask me which one is your favorite, it's like it's kind of hard to decide because I love them both equally, and and respect both of them equally, because the upright alone is a very physical instrument. Just that I've had plenty bloody hands and fingers, plenty nights working on that thing. So yeah, I love both basses, and like right now, I've experimented from going from 4 strings all the way up to 7 strings at one point, too many strings for me personally.
Mm-hmm.
I think five is just enough for me. But man, the feeling I get when I can just jump between basses on a show or on a gig, man, it satisfies me personally because I feel like, oh man, I'm really tackling this goal of mine to be able to play both instruments at the same time, you know.
Sure. Well, it gives you a great versatility, and when different feels and different musics require different things,
Right.
you can step in. And for most part, like I say, I think there's maybe a handful of people that double on both instruments with equal levels of skill that you kind of go,
Right.
okay, wow, this is so-and-so's as good here as they are on that. And
Right.
I have talked to a fair amount of musicians that will throw in the towel on one or the other and say, you know, I'm just going to hit this one really hard and stay with
Yeah.
that. I remember I had a chance to chat with upright bassist Reggie Workman.
Oh yeah.
He played back in the day with Coltrane and
Coltrane.
Monk and
Oh
all
yeah.
those.
Yeah, that's one of my influences right there. Love that dude.
And he said they tried to get him to play electric bass, and he said he played a little bit, and he says, you know, I'm just going to leave that to Victor and to Stanley and all the other guys, because
Oh yeah.
and I'm going to stick with my upright because that's where I'm feeling it most. So it's a
Right. Right.
true skill to have both. Now that takes us to about in 2017, you released Two Worlds, One Mind, and
Yeah. Yep.
presently you're in the process of kind of launching a new album. I know the single was out titled The Journey,
Yes.
and that is part of this release, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes, for the new record called Black Frequencies.
Okay.
So released the single back in January. Man, it's just time for something new, music wise for myself personally. Something new to put out in the universe and hopefully, you know, everybody will get a chance to listen to and possibly enjoy it. The Journey, it's featuring Malcolm Jamal Warner from the Cosby Show and from I think the new TV show The Resident. That's on TV right now. Beautiful song, written by myself and my brother Corey James. He produced the record, and he's also co-produced. This is the same bass player that we started together back in the '90s playing bass together. We came up with an idea. I came up with an idea. I said, man, I need a new song to put on this record, and trying to come up with ideas. And so and I listened to a track that he had just the music to. No melody or anything, man. I was like, I'm listening to it. I said, wait a minute. I may have a melody for that song, for that track. Wait a minute, let's see what we got here. And man, I played it and it just meshed perfectly with what was going on. It was like, oh, okay. Man, and then ran into Malcolm Jamal Warner actually in a airport in Toronto. Random. It's random weird because I'm on the road with Gregory Porter, and we were just coming from a show. He was doing a taping somewhere, and I think he was on his way home, and then we met in there. We like really came off real good with each other. And he said, anytime I need him, just hit him up, and we'll work. So, wham bam. Took a few years, but you know, we got it together and finally got it finished. So
Gotcha.
you know.
Well, in this song, I'm going to say the part that I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, Malcolm Jamal does the spoken portion.
Yes, he does the spoken word portion
in the middle, but now he's a bass player too. Did he play along with this?
No, he did not. He just did the spoken word on it. And the band on that track is the Gregory Porter band. So the whole band of misfits there.
There you go. Well, it's got a nice kind of a smoothness to it and a groove, but it's got a strong message too.
It does. And that message rings so deep and true for so many years, you know, especially before the times that we're in right now, you know, with the coronavirus and all, but you know, just dealing with the journey of African Americans in this country, you know, what do we have to deal with and how we feel on a daily basis. And you know, and he just basically said a lot of what a lot of us think inside.
Gotcha. Well, and the rest of the album, I know that this is the kind of the tip of the spear. When can we expect to see the rest of this?
The rest of it should be ready, I would say late spring, early summer. And that may even get pushed up a little bit because now I have time to now I have time to really, finish the mixes and everything. Because before it was I was gauging that time on my travel with Gregory
Hmm.
and seeing that, it's kind of hard to do things on the road while you're out there going 200 plus dates a year. It's like, oh man. But yeah, it should be out late spring, early summer.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Now, I would be remiss if I didn't ask because every bass player has a sound that comes from the instruments and the gear that they're using. Tell us,
Right.
how are you getting your sound? What are you playing on?
Well, right now, amp wise, I'm playing Ice amplification. The T1000 head with the custom 1210S cabs, and also I use Tsunami cables. I use Kiesel
Hmm.
basses. I use Wilson pickups, which are for upright bass. I also use Ear Trumpet Labs microphone for the upright bass.
The Nadine?
The Nadine,
All
yes.
right.
I love that microphone, man. Love it. Dunlop Super Brights.
Okay.
Yep, I use those. I use Dunlop, so I use there and use the MXR stuff that they make also, pedals. Bartolini also. Groove Gear
Okay. Are
with
you
their
using
straps and stuff like that.
straps? How are you using the fret
Yep.
wraps?
Fret wraps too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they just sitting around all over the place. Yeah, and I believe that is it, if I'm mistaken.
Excellent. Well,
And for uprights, I am using Lemur flyaway bases.
well, it's always interesting, and when I talk to people about gear, there's always the two portions of it. I mean, the solidness and dependability of the gear lends itself when other people hear your sound and they go, "Gee, I want to sound a little bit like Jahmal. Maybe I should check out a Kiesel bass, or I should try that Ike amplification." A lot of times, I think it's kind of like tennis shoes are, where I could wear Jordans. I'm not going to be able to jump any higher,
There you go. There you go.
so there's a lot of what you bring to it, but it's that
Right.
combination that can give you the sound that you've got going.
Because I always say that your sound is here in your hands.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that the instruments are just there to bring it to life, And so it's like, man, like, cause I like you said, like you could take like somebody like Marcus Miller who played who we know as playing on that Fender Jazz for all those years, and then he'll go play on a Federa and sound the exact same, but on the Federa, it's here.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. There is a lot to that, and I think especially in a lot of genres of music, you notice that more when you start loading in a bunch of effects and pedals and other things. It I won't say it detracts, but the subtleties of
Yeah.
what's coming out of your hands get changed a little bit. And so
Right.
a lot of the players that depend on finding their sound with their hands are really reluctant about having a whole pedal board or stuff. And then there's others that, they'll got 15 pedals there and they're running everything and they're compressing and they're octavizing and they're doing everything to it.
Right. Very
And
true.
it's got its place, but again, it all kind of comes back to the hands.
Yeah.
So looking ahead, we know that your album's going to be coming out very soon. I know we're in uncertain times under the
Yeah.
coronavirus, so I don't know. I imagine Gregory Porter's touring is currently suspended for...
Yeah, for a little bit. Yeah, so they have us at least until May. We're not gonna be touring until like May, but who knows how long this whole thing is gonna last? So we don't know. So
Gotcha. Is there any project or anything that you would like to do? Even if it's not really in the works yet, but something you're going, my next thing after I finish this album.
well, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, haven't even thought about that. That's a good question, man. I have not thought about that. Like, what would I like to do? I mean, of course, promote the record as much as I can. Also, just take every day and just, focus in on something that I haven't done yet. Get it done. Just trying to get everything, get up to date as I can. You get what I'm
Gotcha.
saying? And even, get some stuff out of the way that I think may come up,
Sure. Well, with us having to change our social habits and all that, it's changing the panorama for
Very true.
musicians, and it is certainly going to make us, on one hand, you hear a lot of people saying, I'm going to use this time and be creative, and I'm going to write, and I'm going to get things, kind of ready. So when we come back to kind of a normal world,
Right.
I got it all lined up, kind of take advantage of this. There's a lot of unknown, but,
There's a lot of unknown.
I am, hoping that as a community, we can everybody kind of pull together and share information and make it out on the other side and just be all that much better for it. So if people want to know what you are up to, the best place to look, I know JahmalNichols.net is your website.
Yep. And then also you can go on Instagram, just type in my name, Jahmal Nichols, JahmalNichols. And also on Facebook, same thing. Just type in my name in the search engine and it'll come up. My accounts are not private. They're open to the public and everything. So, it's always a way to find out what I'm doing and where I am. So
Very cool. Well, Jahmal, we appreciate you taking time out of your not so busy schedule right now. I'm glad this worked out for all of us.
Right, thank you, because I was supposed to be in Amsterdam.
That's right.
But, it happened. I'm at home now, so it's cool.
That's right. Well, thanks to Skype, we can talk to everybody and not have to worry about any kind of contagious situation. So, folks, you've seen him here.
There you go.
Jahmal Nichols coming to you live on Bass Musician Magazine.
Thank you, guys.